It's a real pleasure to welcome all the way from the United States. Thanks for making time for us, Angela Ruggiero. Angela, thank you for joining us on High Performance.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Pleasure to be on.
So we always start with the same question. What do you consider to be high performance? And I guess for you, it's been a lifelong lesson in high performance of all different kinds.
I love a good challenge. So I would say for me, high performance is wanting to attain perfection or greatness every single day, but being okay and cognizant that you never will. So having that aspirational mindset, goal, growth mindset, drive, desire, but knowing that you're human, knowing that, in a sport like ice hockey, you're never going to be perfect, but getting excited over the little inches, the little micro changes you could make to improve your game each and every day. High performance is doing all of those things, but being human at the same time.
So what would you say to our listeners then, who they love the effort and the passion and the drive and the commitment, but they struggle when it doesn't go right? How did you learn to accept yourself and accept things around you not being perfect when you're clearly such a driven individual?
I thrive in that, to be honest, because I think you learn so much more when you fall, when you fail, when you don't succeed. We tend to stop and you stop more when you're not winning, when you're not, succeeding. And if you do it right, you pause and you reflect and say, what can I have done better? When you're winning, you tend to go on to the next thing and pat yourself on the back. And so I would say flipping the mindset to loving when you fail, loving when you get cut from that boys team, because it gives you that like chip on your shoulder and that motivation and drive. And it's where character is really revealed. It's where you can find the depth of who you are and what you want to achieve. And I'll just give, again, a hockey example is, if you've ever seen a hockey player or a speed skater or anyone on ice, there's a point at which you actually fall when you're leaning. You think about a crossover, but unless you've literally pushed yourself to the absolute edge, you won't fall. And so people that go through, a hockey practice and don't fall the entire practice, like, wow, you didn't really push yourself. But if you fail multiple times and you actually learn the depth of how you could push yourself, and then you take that into the game environment, wow, you're going to be that much faster, stronger, quicker. It's so for me, honestly, it's just flipping the mindset of being okay to fall and actually thriving in those kinds of environments if you pause and reflect and take something from those, adversities.
Which to adult ears, Angela, makes perfect sense. But how were you taught that as a child? If we go back to that first instance where you were cut from the boys' team, how did you learn to process failure in such a healthy way?
Yeah. Well, my father was really helpful, actually. Definitely one of my mentors growing up. He said, look, and my brother made the team, by the way, which was my younger brother. I was like, you get to go, man. My father said, look, you can quit or sulk, or you can work that much harder and not just be the third or fourth best. Like, you have to be the best, and the best by a long shot for you to make the team next year. And that's your choice, Angela. Like, you don't have to play hockey. And I said, no, I want to, I'm going to come back bigger, stronger, faster. And again, he gave me a choice. I think was the biggest thing. And it's always the road less traveled, but everything in life to me is a decision. And so when I do get cut or fail or get told no, I do sales every single day. I get told no all the time. But then you get the yes, and wow, how great does that feel? And so I think I just anticipate, what am I going to take from this experience, whether I win, whether I lose, whether I get cut or, make the team. But my father, I think, laid that groundwork as a young person to recognize everything in life is a choice.
So go on, Demi.
No, I was going to say that. So in that pause, that moment where you have that choice and you can decide which path you're going to take, what has been the most seminal moment that you can recall where you've taken a path that's led to the biggest reward then?
I mean, that example, it was the seminal moment, I think, of my life, because I learned that life isn't going to be easy, and you're going to get, in this case, it was something I couldn't control. I got cut because of, gender bias. But it's, again, how I chose to respond to that moment. And then as I got older, maybe it wasn't hockey, maybe it was, am I going to choose to apply to Harvard and be okay if I don't get in? Or am I going to choose to start a company and be okay if it fails? Or and every time I'm like, well, if I control the controllables, as my coach used to say, focus on the things that I can improve on and work on. But be eyes wide open that, look, there is bias. There are things you can't control. But take care of what's in your own house. That for me, that was really, I think, a big, again, learning point at a young age, that I'm like, oh, it's the same pattern, just applied in very different situations.
I think there's going to be people listening to this, Angela, who are like, wow, I wish I had that mindset, because you make chasing high performance kind of sound easy because you're cool with the failure. And I think as soon as we become cool with the failure, it makes it a lot easier. Mm-hmm. So do you have fear? Are you still terrified when you're chasing high performance and making big decisions and laying yourself on the line, and you're wide open to criticism? Or
oh, absolutely. I'm definitely, yeah. But that's what fuels me, because what I've realized even in sports or business now, the fear of failure in some ways, or the fear of showing up unprepared, is terrifying. And so I use that, again, as a little bit of fuel to say, well, what can I do? How do I prepare myself? Like, don't go into it without that preparation that's required. Don't just wing it, because then you're even more scared. And when I played at the most elite level, in the Olympics, people, oh, you must be so nervous, and there's billions of people watching and millions there, and your whole life is on the line. And I'm like, yeah, but that's my domain. Like, I've practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. And so a lot of that intimidation goes away. Yes, you're definitely nervous, but I think about now, and again, my everyday life and my work life, and the meetings, I just show up and I'm like, oh my God, like, we didn't pregame this. Who is this person? What do they care about? Like, and I'm just winging it, are so much harder. And when we, if I don't close that sale, or I don't succeed, or I don't develop deep in the relationship, I'm like, that's my fault, because I didn't take the time to prepare. So I think fear is actually a really motivating force if you don't approach it as fear. If you approach it as something that gets you off your couch, gets you to do the thing that you need to do anyway, to actually be in the best possible position to succeed on that moment.
Which sounds amazing, Angela. But then when I read your story about you were competing at such an elite level as an athlete, and then you were also going to Harvard and studying, how did you manage that need to prepare so thoroughly with the demands of two really quite tough worlds that you inhabited?
I always got the best grades in season, which is always bizarre. People are like, well, you had more on your plate in season. How's that? I said, well, you're like time management 101. You are not wasting any time. I would fit in literally a 15-minute nap every day, because I knew that would help me get through the day. You kind of cut the fat, I guess. You're not, you're laser focused on how you spend your time, and not kind of going through the motions. So trying to be a student athlete and play at the top level, and do well at both, which I was able to do. It was all about, how do you really take a step back and look at your calendar and look how you're spending every moment of your time, and not, prioritizing, I guess, at the end of the day. Is this going to help me in hockey or school and everything else? So there were parties I didn't get to go to. There's classes maybe I couldn't take on the side or extracurriculars. But that to me was the trade-off, was I want to do well in these two specific things at this
Can you tell
moment.
us then about, so that internal question, that prioritization is a really fascinating area for a lot of people that listen to this, that we often struggle to prioritize effectively, whether it's as a parent or as a professional or in other areas of our personal life. So what were the kind of questions that you were asking yourself that made sure that your priorities were accurate?
Well, I think it's just, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve? And making those very clear. And your goals could be something like, I want to be a great parent and be there for my children or my child or my spouse. So it's, you know, when you know where you're headed, what those goals are. And in my case, it was, okay, I want to win an NCAA championship and I want to get straight A's. You know, I kind of set the bar high. Then everything that goes into each and every day, you have to think about, is this going to help me achieve those? Because if it's not, I could have spent more time shooting pucks or being in the gym or reading another book. But instead I'm doing something else. And so when I got to the end of the year, if I didn't achieve my goals, I could look back and say, well, Angela, you spent too much time hanging out or, you know, socializing or, you know, learning a new instrument. Like there was a lot of things I didn't get to do as a kid, or I didn't get to do in college. Because I had my priorities and I knew, like, that's okay. Like there's going to be a time and a place where I can spend more time with friends or learn how to play an instrument or spend, you know, again, everything is a trade-off. And even now I'm trying to do everything. And, you know, I'm not in very good shape. I know that for a fact. Like I am not the elite athlete I once be, but I'm like, I'm okay with that where I'm at. I have to be okay with not being perfect, because I'm trying to prioritize, you know, my work and my family right now.
So you've talked about the how. Explain the why, because people don't want to miss parties. They don't want to sacrifice the things that are fun.
Yeah.
What was the reason? What was the driver?
Well, I think, again, it starts with the what. Like, what do you want to do with your life? And if you can get behind something that truly motivates you, truly inspires you to the fact that you'll get up at 4 a.m, and go to a cold rink when everyone else is sleeping, then it's not work, it's play. It's something you're actively choosing to spend your life doing. Then when you have to say no to those, you know, parties or things that would, you know, otherwise be fun, you're finding joy in the thing you're doing, and you're not always thinking, oh, grass is greener over there, someone's having fun. You're not looking outward, you're looking inward. And so to me, it always starts with the what. Like, what do you want to do with your one precious life? And you can't do everything. That's the hard part. Time is, you know, not a commodity. It's the only thing that, you know, is capped. And so again, being really precise with your time and how you live your life, and be okay with the choices you're making. So again, I'm actively saying, here are the things I want to prioritize at this moment in my life, and being so happy you're doing those things versus so unhappy that you're not doing the other things, that, you know, you might see on Instagram, or, you know, all your friends are posting, and you're like, no, I'm actively choosing to be in this seat in this moment with these people in this job, whatever that case may be.
So did you have to learn that then? Because when you were first starting out, and you were having to make sacrifices, it was probably okay because Instagram didn't exist. And so you didn't know there was some amazing,
probably harder now, I'm sure,
a couple of blocks away. But now we all live in a world where we make our decisions and then see other people, and what we see is their edited reality, and it always looks perfect. So how did you learn to avoid the comparisons and avoid being negatively impacted by that? Because it's something we hear so often from listeners of this podcast, is that they feel they're doing the right thing until they look at other people's lives on social media, and it really can derail them at times.
Yeah. I mean, I have FOMO all the time. I want to do what people are doing. So how did I learn that? I think for me, it's always been, again, back to like your goals, like who are you? What's your true authentic self? Being a little girl in Southern California, showing up to career day in her hockey gear, was like, who is that kid? What is that? Like, no one told me. My brother played, my sister played, obviously I had my family support, but for me, it's again, recognizing like who do you authentically want to be? And if you are like a musician and you play 100 hours a week, and you just love it, like if you can like get above yourself in some ways and see that and say, wow, I'm really spending the time in the things that I love to do versus what everyone else tells you should be doing. And I've had that so many times in my life where people project what they think I should do, when I retired, as an example, from hockey, everyone's like, you should coach, you should commentate, you should. And I'm like, you don't know me. You don't know what I care about. You know what my passions are. You just see externally that I'm a hockey player. And the advice I got was always obviously kind-hearted, but it's who actually knows who you are. You know who you are. And so again, I always tether back to like, if you find your passion and you set those goals and you live your life aligned with those kinds of things, then it's definitely hard. Like high performance is friggin' hard. It's a lot of work, but you're going to find the joy and the fun in the process versus the outcome. You're not going to be distracted by the Instagram, successes of others. You're going to say, no, I'm actually doing what I'm meant to be on this earth to do. So, and that's really hard work. I've been lost countless times in my life. And when I was able to take a step back and then come back in and find myself, I'm like, wow, this is exactly where I need to be. And I don't need to be
you were lost
else.
in those situations. How did you?
Because your head just like explodes and you're unhappy and you feel like you're in a rut and you're out of tune. You're not in flow. You're just like every day seems hard. And then I'm like, well, what am I doing with my life at this moment? Is this what I should be doing? Should I stop playing hockey? Or if I'm in a career, should I rethink my career? Or am I just approaching this the wrong way? So you kind of know when you're incongruent with who you true authentically should be. You feel it. There's no everyone knows when they're doing something totally misaligned with who they are.
Yep.
And those are the moments where instead of, binge watching Netflix or going on a vacation and drinking a lot or just like checking out, like, no, that's where the hard work kind of starts. Like I would say, go get a journal, listen to some podcasts, be reflective, self-reflective. And then you could almost like reposition your life yourself. And it doesn't mean moving or breaking up or like changing everything. It's just like, let's take a hot second to realign. And then, you're like, whoa, I feel so much better. Like doing this. I don't know.
So they're very much individual reflections, Angela. So would you describe to us when you found your tribe, when you became a member of a team? Like, can you describe the experience of what that was like, of being around people that had the same aspirations of you, of going for gold and being exceptional? Yeah.
I mean, I could point to my Olympic gold medal hockey team no further than like hockey in general, which is I love. I want all kids to play team sports. Why? I love individual sports, but team sports, you learn life is a team sport. So if we can learn about.
Love that. I'm writing that down.
It is though. That's why playing team sports, you learn how to, set goals and stretch goals and work with others and work through adversity and fall and fail and win and be told what to do and be on time. And like, literally, if you think about everything you do in life, like you get these micro lessons in sports. And in my hockey team, I had so many amazing, like big sisters on that gold medal team that taught me how to push myself and train and eat better and, visualize and all these like amazing elements and check your ego at the door. Wow. What a great lesson for me as an 18-year-old to say like, okay, check your ego, Angela. Like we're all great. We're all Olympians. We're all amazing.
And did that actually happen? Was that a conversation that happened?
It was a conversation through, it wasn't a conversation. It was, I literally saw people's actions. I saw the backup goalie supporting the starting goalie. I saw the first liner get demoted to the second line and be super positive and happy in the locker room. Saw complete trust in the coach, to the point where I got yanked from the power play right before the Olympics started. And I had learned through this kind of behavior of my teammates. I'm like, oh, great coach, put Sandra in. She's going to crush it. I got her back. And I genuinely felt supportive of her. And I learned that from my teammates. And by the way, we won a gold medal.
Let me just pick up on that one point. Did you do the thing you felt you had to do because that's what that team did? Or had you managed to learn that genuine feeling? Because I think that's really important for people to understand, that if you operate in a certain environment, it genuinely can change you as a person. It doesn't just change the way you act.
Yeah, you all know, okay, yeah, let the starter go out there and don't sulk. But to genuinely feel supportive of your teammate because you believe in the shared goal, the shared mission, you believe in the structure, the environment, that being, not sulking and being, your mindset's completely different. You're not sitting on the bench like hoping, wishing, kind of, well, I hope she drops the puck on the blue line and I'll get the call next time, with a smile on your face. You're like, I hope you crush it, because guess what? If she crushes it and scores a point, which she did, by the way, in the Olympic, Sandra Wyatt was amazing. In my position, you win a gold medal. So who cares who freaking scores the point? Your team wins the gold medal. And again, but it is a very different mindset than being okay with not getting the promotion to being like, okay, if we're going to collectively succeed and I'll get my shot. I got my shot again. I was the starting power play D for a decade, at least after that. I got my shot, but at that moment in time, it wasn't my shot. And I was genuinely okay with it. It was a really great lesson as an 18-year-old.
See, but you've got a really fascinating perspective, having been part of teams that won those gold medals, where you described that selfless mindset of checking your ego at the door, whilst also being a member of teams that have won silver medals and bronze medals as well. So was there a difference between that gold medal winning team and those others that fell slightly short? And if so, what was it?
Yeah, we were, the following Olympics, we were the best team in the world by far, 33-0 heading into the gold medal game. Like, probably the best team I ever played on, but we lost in the final. And when pressure hit, when you had to look to your left and your right and to each other, we didn't. I think we looked internal. Everyone wanted to score the game winner. Everyone wanted more of the glory. It was not, in my opinion, a team. It was a collection of individuals playing as a team. Very, very different. Even the best teams in the world, again, when crisis hits, can crumble if they don't have that core structure. And some of the worst teams in the world, which I've also played on, we won the world championships in 2008. We had no business doing that. We were a bunch of rookies, no business. And we convinced ourselves and acted very aligned and willing to do anything, checked our egos all the way above, and we were successful. And so I've seen the power of teamwork and the power of your mindset collectively and how that can make or break you. So yeah, I've had the experience on both sides, and it's devastating when you should win on paper and you fail because of things you could control, which is like, are we going to work together? Are we going to, genuinely be a collective, or are we going to be a collective of individuals?
So tell us then about what our listeners, if they're working in an office and they might sense that there's that kind of selfish, ego-driven behavior, or you're in a classroom as a child and this kind of behavior is stopping you achieving your targets. What could somebody do that they could control that starts to bring them more along the axis of that gold medal winning mindset that you experienced?
Well, I think a lot of it starts at the top, having the right culture, a culture in that you value, you need to have trust, I think, within the organization, within whatever team you're on. Because then that, when someone calls me out for being late, I don't get defensive. I don't get upset at them. They have my back. They actually just want the team to succeed, and they're reminding me of the rules and the what the expectations are. When, and when they pat me on the back, I know it's genuine. I know they actually really appreciate what I contributed on that day. So, that's the hard part. You can start with yourself. Like, what can you control? Again, control the controllables. Are you showing up on time? Are you coming to work with a positive attitude? Are you doing all that you can to contribute? And if you're not doing that, don't point fingers. I mean, there's a tendency, again, I had this a lot, oh, so-and-so's late or so-and-so's not. So first start with yourself, but then, if your leadership team is providing that kind of culture where you genuinely trust one another and you genuinely want the group to succeed, be open to criticism, be open to those harder conversations. Because again, that's where you grow. When someone can tell you what your blind spots are and you're open to hearing it, and then you improve your individual game, like that's a freaking gift. And so if you don't have that, that kind of culture internally, it's really hard sometimes. People get defensive. I get defensive. Joe Schmo tells you what to do. You're like, I don't trust you. What are you talking about? But if someone that really cares about you tells you the same exact thing, your response is probably a little bit different.
So tell us then, what's one piece of feedback you've had within that environment that had the longest lasting impact?
I think I had to learn in the context of hockey how just how to I wasn't a gifted athlete. Like, I know I had a lot of like the raw talents, but when you're doing well, even if you're at the top of your game and someone criticizes something, I remember getting like, I was defensive. But then being someone that took a step back, I think at some point, and recognized a lot of the inputs I was getting would actually take my game to the next level. And I remember I was in my mid-20s maybe, and I had a lot of success on the ice already, a gold, a silver. I was top defenseman, blah, 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 blah. But then recognizing my game could be so much better. And in order to do that, I think Tiger Woods, he literally reinvented his swing at the top of his game. People are like, what? Why would you do that? You're winning. And I remember having teammates or discussions or coaches just help me see, wow, Angela, you could be so much better if you changed your diet. You'd be so much better if you tried this type of training in the locker room. You'd be so much better if you did this. And I thought, oh, I'm doing well. And then I realized, oh my God, there's so many inches around me that I'm leaving on the table because I'm not open to that kind of feedback at that point in my career. And when I took a step back and found joy in competing, I relished in that kind of feedback, criticism, whatever you want to call it. I was like, oh, okay. Even if it's bad, it helped me reevaluate what I was doing. And I could come back to exactly the same thing I was doing, but it forced me to take an introspective look at that one specific element of my game. And net, either neutral or positive.
I need to talk to you about visualization, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
We've all heard the quote, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably
It's one of my favorites.
Is it? Well,
I say that all the time, Jake, all the time.
Brilliant. Well, because I said exactly
Henry
that
Ford.
to my daughter today. She's 8 years old, but you'll like this. We don't really play ice hockey over here in the UK and don't have many rinks and things, but we do play hockey, and she has her first ever hocky match at her new school today. So we woke up this morning to a very nervous Florence, and she was all quiet, didn't eat any breakfast at all. I said, "Are you okay?" So it was, what if I score in the wrong goal? She's never played the game before. She's in the school team. What if I score in the wrong goal? Was the first one. And then the second one was, what if I miss the ball? So I had to have a conversation with her about what a waste of energy it is imagining the bad stuff. And she's written a story in her head effectively about bad things and then is choosing to believe it.
Yeah.
Trying to encourage her to write a good story and then believe that. I would love to, particularly as you like that quote, who would have thought that you obviously relate to that because you love that quote. So let's talk about visualization and the link between that and achieving success.
Yeah, it literally is I think one of my favorite quotes, be the change you wish to see in the world. I quote that one all the time. But Henry Ford, it's so true. If you you literally defeat yourself out of the gates if you think you can't. And I actually used this story in the 2005 World Championships. I was the third shooter in the shootout. Tied game, 0-0. We're playing Canada. We'd never won before. And I remember lining up in my head, all I was thinking about is where I'm going to score. Like, this puck's going in, just where I want to put it. End up scoring, game-winning goal, first ever World Championship, celebration, positive mindset. Fast forward a year, we're in the 2006 Olympics. We're in the semifinal game against Sweden. We're in overtime, no score. We go to a shootout. I'm the third shootout. What's going through my head? I line up. Oh my God. I gotta score. My mindset was different. I was negative in my head, I missed. I hit the crossbar. I got a second attempt because the goalie left early. Oh my God. What am I going to do? I got to do this. I got to score. And it wasn't that like natural flow. I wasn't like thinking I'm going to score, and I missed. And that's just like one micro moment, kind of two very similar situations. But as a 12-year-old, I told myself, I'm going to play in the Olympics one day. People thought I was crazy. But if I didn't have that aspirational, if I wasn't giving myself that positive feedback every single day, never would have happened. So I always tell kids, like, dream big, reach, for the stars, and adults too, like set goals, set stretch goals. Because even if you don't get there, you're going to get close to it versus just saying, I can't do it, and you quit out of the gate. So this, like, the mindset is so much part of being an elite athlete and being successful as an elite athlete. On paper, everyone's the same, literally. Like, look at your size and your weight and how do people win when you literally on paper look the same? It's your mind. And that quote is why I think the biggest differentiator between successful elite athletes and ones that fail. It's all in your head.
So this mindset that you've described really powerfully and really quite movingly over this interview, Angela, how do you recruit people that have got a similar mindset now into your business? Because you've moved from being a player to almost a head coach.
Yeah.
So can you give us any tips for any listeners on how you recruit people into your world that share the same view as you?
Just, athletes are great. I love athletes. They have all the great foundation. They don't maybe have the skill yet. You have to teach them the skill, but that's almost easier than teaching them these like values, is the way I think about it. But you don't have to be an athlete. You have to be totally aligned to my mission, totally aligned to how we operate and our kind of core values, and be a team player, check your ego at the door, help one another out, but stay in your swim lane and do your job. I'm going to be hard on you because I think that's what pushes people, but we're a team at the end of the day. Like, you're going to lift me, I'm going to lift you. And I try to find people that thrive in those kinds of, high performance environments, want to have fun and enjoy each other along the way, but want to achieve great things, not just check in and check out and see this as a job. See, this is, you spend more time at work than you do at home, most of us. Yeah. So, someone that's like pumped to show up to work and get better every day, because the boss can't micromanage, that scout in the stands, like, find people that are self-motivated. And for me, we have a great culture at my company, and people love it there and are working hard. And you don't have to have lots of rules and regulations, in my opinion, if you can find that kind of talent. So, I don't know. It's not for everyone. I mean, I want to do great things. So I want people that have that same kind of big aspirational needs as well. But I just try to make it fun too at the end of the day, because you can believe in what you're trying to achieve. Even if you never get there, you find a little bit of joy every day in what you do.
And you said quite a few times in this conversation, check your ego at the door. Before we move on to our final quickfire questions at the end of the interview, I just want to talk to you very, very quickly about being vulnerable. And, you said at the start of this interview that it is terrifying, it is scary, trying to be a high performance person, taking risks and things. So what do you do to ensure that your business and your workplace and the people around you can be vulnerable and can accept and admit to their fears?
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard, to be honest. It's one of the hardest things to do in life is like think of other people over yourself, or have empathy at work. Empathy is like such an amazing emotion that we don't value enough, I think, in society. It's like, what are the KPIs? What are the results? But at the end of the day, again, back to that, if you can trust each other, you can push each other. Yeah. And then if you trust each other, you're willing to check your ego at the door. And how do you develop that trust? You have empathy. You genuinely care for one another. How do you genuinely care for one another? You listen. You're emotionally open to people's needs. So I think, again, that being aware of what people are going, you need a week off, great, take the week off, come back recharged. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's a hard thing to do. It takes a lot of time. Even in today's environment, I'm hiring people all the time that I've never met in person. How do you build that culture? How do you deepen your relationships when we're all on freaking Zoom all day? It's horrible. But I'm cognizant of it. Like, how do we build an environment where someone could call me out and be like, hey, boss, you didn't do the thing you said you're supposed to do. And I'm genuinely okay with that. I'm working on that every single day. We always will, we always will be. So I think I would just leave it with like, have empathy and be aware of like, pointing the finger is so easy to do and we all do it, but point it to yourself, like first and foremost, control yourself, control the controllables that you have exclusive and yeah, good things will happen.
Love that. I'll just throw you a Bill Bullard quote while we talk about empathy. And he says that opinion is the lowest form of human knowledge because it requires no accountability, no understanding.
Yeah.
The highest form of knowledge is empathy. It requires us to suspend our egos and live.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah. It's amazing.
We all think we have to have an opinion. We don't. We just have to understand people alongside us.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Angela, quick fire questions. We start with this one. Your 3 non-negotiable behaviors that you and the people around you have to buy into.
Well, we just said empathy. I have to rip that again because I think it's important. Behaviors. There's something about grit or like pushing through to results. Like, just don't take no, keep going. This kind of like grit, I guess, is the end of the day. Yeah. So you care about others, you have grit and positive mindset. That goes so far, both internally and externally. Like, bring a good attitude, to everything that you're doing. If people have those 3, I'd be like, yes.
If you could go back to one moment of your life, what would it be and why?
Oh God, that's hard. I mean, winning a gold medal is pretty fun. I don't know. There's some positive moments like that in my hockey career.
So you go to a good moment and not a bad moment.
No, bad moments are horrible, but again, like, they create you, they build you. I don't want to relive that again. I'm glad, maybe I would learn more from them. I tend to look forward, I think, as I said, all the time, not back. So it's a really interesting question. I don't know. Would I want to feel the pain and do something better, or remember how great it was at that one point? I'd probably go to a good moment. I don't know. Just like, remember when your family was around at Christmas and they were all together, something like that is probably where I'd want to go back to.
I like that answer. How important is legacy to you?
Legacy is important to me, but for me, it's more of like a network effect. If I could leave a legacy that gets people to do more, That's the kind of legacy I want to have. Not like, what did Angela do, but what did she do that inspired me to do X, Y, and Z? That's the kind of legacy I want. And I was able to have, I guess, a brief, in my hockey career, to see the legacy I made as an athlete. And that was so amazing to see all the young girls that came after me and boys that never seen like female role models or athletes. Like, that was really cool to see in that like short career. And now for me in like my professional career, like I want to make an impact, but the kind of impact I want to make is that others try to emulate my career and have a bigger effect as a result.
Is there a book, a podcast, or a TV series that you'd recommend our listeners to absorb?
Depends who they are, because like, what do they care about? What do you care about? I mean, from a business perspective, I'm obsessed with like Harvard Business Review, any of their books or their podcasts or their magazine. Because I'm in the business world now. So I'm always like dying for the latest literature and research around how to build a big company, better culture. So that's kind of top of mind for me right now, in terms of what I'm listening to. I mean, I listen to a ton of stuff, but HBR is a good one.
And your final answer to us, and this is really one to leave all our listeners and viewers with. Angela Ruggiero, your one golden rule to living a high performance life.
So I'm going to steal something that we already talked about, because I was genuine. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're probably right. Just start with just dream big. We're all adults, and I say that to kids. Dream big. Try to do big things with your life. Don't limit yourself. You can only be a high performer if at first you have that dream. You never even start on that path of perfection or performance if you don't start with something that's aspirational and crazy. And so, yeah, I would just say that quote, that's the rule. Like, go hard or go home. Go big. You can do it though. People, any common person, there's no one that's better or worse. Again, it always, I think, just starts with that dream. And few times in our lives do we allow ourselves to dream, except, oh, you're a kid, you're allowed to like pretend, I want to be an astronaut when I'm older. No, we can all dream now. Like, do you want to start a local coffee shop? Do you want to, help your child do X, Y, and Z? It doesn't always have to be about yourself. But I think, again, the biggest limitation we always set is at ground zero. We don't dream big enough. And then we don't reach performance or perfection, whatever you want to call it.
Well, look, you had that dream at a young age. People thought you were crazy, but you demonstrated then, and you demonstrated now the power of dreaming big. And I think there's a few other things that you've also shown to us as well. It is a combination of dreaming big, but also really knowing yourself. And you said a few times, really knowing yourself is so important. And then understanding the grit and the hard work and the determination and the setbacks and the graft that goes with it. So it's been a pleasure to sit here for the last hour and talk about your journey, your lessons, and I really hope it impacts other people for good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up, leave a review, but somehow get involved with the High Performance Podcast and become part of our growing community. Thanks for being part of the adventure.